Today I want to talk about how God shows you things without you knowing. Hello and welcome to the God is Awesome podcast, a place where we celebrate the amazing presence of God in our lives and explores the incredible ways in which His love and power manifest in our world. Join me as we dive into stories of faith, hope, and inspiration and discover the awesome ways in which God is at work in our lives every day. I was reading a book called God is Good by Lucas Miles. There was these two girls that got caught smoking, and they had to go to him for counseling. He had to tell them that smoking was bad and they needed to quit smoking because they could die from it. But he decided, instead of doing that, to ask a different question and tell them something different. He decided to ask them, do you know who God is? Who is God to you? They started to get a little bit uncomfortable, and they started to not really want to say anything. And then one of them said, just so you know, I don't believe in God. And his response was, I thought you might say that. He said, so for the next week, I'd like for each of you to make a list of what you think God should be like if He did exist. I want you to describe a God you would want to believe in. So then they were kind of hesitant. They kept saying, you want us to make up a God? And he said, yes. So he handed them a notebook. Throughout the next couple weeks, they started to make a God that they would want in their lives. And throughout his desire to help, he was banking on the truth found in Romans 1:19. What may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. Before they started their next session a couple weeks later, he did a quick prayer and had this verse in mind. He heard a knock, and it was the two girls. He told them to come in. They both brought their assignments, and what they wrote down was, my God would really be good. My God would always forgive me for messing up. My God would heal people who are sick. My God wouldn't be boring but fun. My God wouldn't allow bad things to happen. My God wouldn't send people to hell. My God would give His people superpowers to fight evil. My God wouldn't get mad at me if I failed, and He would always love me. My God would get rid of death so that people could live forever. So they compiled their list, and their lists were pretty identical. And Lucas Miles asks, so if God was like this, like everything on your list, you would believe in this God? They thought for a moment, but seemed sufficiently confident that their God was far superior to our God. So there was no danger in actually having to commit to following this imaginary God they created. So they both agreed, said, yes, I would believe in a God like that. So he shared verses with them that showed the God they thought they had invented was really the true God. He said that his Romans 1:19 instinct was correct. What may be known about God was plain to them. He realized that their invention of God came so naturally because it was based in reality. So because God is so good, like he says in Romans 1:19, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. So because God is so good, even though they don't believe in Him, He still told them who He is and how He works without them even knowing it. They got told the miraculous, loving God without even knowing, without having any idea who or what God is. So I want you guys to realize today that God shows us things without us knowing. We could be going through the Bible, read a verse, it kind of feel weird, hit differently, and then just keep moving on. But that verse that we read probably has something in common with what we are going through or what we are going to go through. It says in Romans 1:20, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. And I like that because that's pretty much saying He's showed everyone how He works. He's already shown everyone how His life works, so they have no excuse. Romans 1:20 speaks about how God's existence and divine nature are evident in the world around us. It emphasizes that all people have the opportunities to recognize God's presence through the beauty and order of creation. This verse also suggests that people are without excuse when it comes to acknowledging God, as His attributes are clearly seen in His creation. So everything He's done, everything He's created, it all goes back to Him. It all shows that he is true. So no one has any excuses to say that God is not real. So God shows us things for a reason, and he does it so that we cannot make excuses of him not showing us anything. God shows us things without us knowing, and he does it for a reason. He does it because once you start realizing that he's showing you this thing, you realize that he is God, that he is showing you what is happening. So without us knowing, God makes our life happy and joyful. He does it all for a reason, but he doesn't always show us why. So I want you to think on that today. I want you to realize that God's probably doing a lot of stuff in your life right now. He's just not showing you. Because once you start realizing that there's a lot of stuff happening without you knowing, you will try to figure out what is happening. And then when you figure out what is happening, you will use that to move on with your life, when all you need to have in your life is God. All you need to be thinking about to get through your life is God. So take time today and think about God, and think about the reasoning of why he doesn't show you everything the moment you ask. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the God is Awesome podcast. I hope you've been inspired and encouraged by the stories of faith and the reminder of God's incredible love and power in our lives. Remember, no matter what challenge you may face, God is always with you, and his love is truly awesome. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider following and leaving a review. And until next time, may you continue to experience the awesomeness of God in your life.